Right now, somewhere in the United States, an aircraft exists that officially does not exist. No photos, no rollout ceremony, no public prototype flying over a desert runway, not even a confirmed name. And yet, billions of dollars have already been spent on it. This isn't science fiction. This is the sixth-generation fighter program, and almost everything about it is deliberately hidden. Not because it isn't real, but because the US military decided secrecy itself is now a weapon. Think about that for a moment. For decades, the most advanced aircraft on Earth were revealed with pride. The F-15, the F-16, the F-22, even the stealthy F-35 had glossy renders, test footage, and endless public debates long before it was combat ready. But this time, something is different. The next generation of air dominance isn't being teased. It's being erased from public view on purpose. And that raises a disturbing question. What kind of technology is so sensitive that the Pentagon would rather let conspiracy theories run wild than explain even the basics? If you enjoy digging into the hidden side of engineering and black projects like this, you'll probably want to stick around and quietly tap like and subscribe as we go, because stories like this are exactly why forbidden engineering exists in the first place. The official name for America's sixth-generation effort is NGAD, Next Generation Air Dominance. That sounds harmless enough, almost boring. But behind that name is a radical shift in how military aircraft are designed, built, funded, and even imagined. This is not just a new fighter jet. It's an entire system of systems, and almost every part of it is classified for reasons that go far beyond stealth. To understand why everything about sixth-gen fighters is hidden, we have to start with what makes them fundamentally different from anything before. Fifth-generation fighters like the F-22 and F-35 were defined by stealth shaping, sensor fusion, and networked combat. Sixth-gen takes that idea and pushes it into territory that starts to blur the line between aircraft, computer, and autonomous weapon. One of the first clues that something unusual was happening came in 2020, when the US Air Force casually dropped a bombshell. They announced that a full-scale NGAD demonstrator had already been designed, built, and flown. No photos were released. No location was named. No contractor was officially confirmed. The aircraft flew, collected data, and vanished back into secrecy. That single statement alone shattered decades of tradition. Normally, a demonstrator flight is the beginning of public awareness. This time, it was the end. Why hide it? Because the design process itself is now classified. For the first time, the Air Force openly admitted that sixth-gen fighters are being designed primarily in the digital world. Digital-only aircraft design allows engineers to simulate aerodynamics, radar signatures, heat output, and combat scenarios with extreme precision before a single piece of metal is cut. That may sound like a simple evolution, but it changes everything. It means prototypes can be skipped entirely. It means designs can be tested, scrapped, and redesigned without the public ever knowing they existed. And most importantly, it means the final aircraft may never resemble the early concepts in any meaningful way. In the past, foreign intelligence agencies could learn a lot just by watching prototypes fly. Wing shapes, engine placement, exhaust design, even landing gear layout, all provided clues about performance and role. With digital-first design, those clues disappear. The first time an enemy might see a sixth-gen fighter could be when it's already operational, already mature, and already deadly. Then there's the budget black hole. Officially, NGAD funding exists. Unofficially, the numbers don't add up. Billions are allocated, but details are buried inside classified line items. Unlike the F-35, which became a political football, NGAD money is deliberately obscured to avoid public scrutiny. This isn't accidental. Public debate slows programs down. Congressional arguments create delays. Media attention invites questions the Pentagon doesn't want to answer. By keeping NGAD vague, the Air Force avoids repeating the mistakes of the past. No public cost overruns, no viral photos of broken parts, no endless arguments about whether the aircraft is worth it. Instead, the program advances quietly, shielded from public opinion. But secrecy also hides something else: risk. Sixth-gen fighters are expected to do things that sound almost impossible. Extreme stealth, not just against radar, but against infrared, electronic, and even visual detection. Adaptive engines that can switch between fuel efficiency and raw power mid-flight. Artificial intelligence that assists, or potentially replaces, human decision-making in combat, directed energy weapons, loyal wingman drones controlled from the cockpit. These are not incremental upgrades, they are leaps, and leaps come with failure. If any one of these technologies struggles, delays, or fails outright, secrecy prevents embarrassment. It allows engineers to experiment aggressively, without fear of public backlash. In other words, classification creates a safe space for radical innovation. That alone would justify secrecy. But there's another reason that's far more strategic. Uncertainty is power. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union terrified NATO with weapons that were often less capable than feared. The myth of superiority mattered more than reality. The US understands this lesson well. By refusing to reveal what sixth-gen fighters can do, America forces potential adversaries to assume the worst. Every unknown becomes a threat multiplier. Does the aircraft have hypersonic dash capability? Maybe. Can it operate without a pilot? Possibly. Is it invisible to current radar systems? No one knows. And that uncertainty forces rivals to spend billions trying to counter threats that may or may not exist. China and Russia are both developing their own sixth-generation concepts, but unlike the US, they leak information deliberately. Concept art circulates, statements are made, timelines are hinted at. This isn't transparency, it's signaling. The US chose the opposite approach: silence, and silence drives paranoia. Every leak, every shadowy budget line, every vague Air Force statement becomes fuel for speculation. That's not a side effect, it's the point. Some leaks, however, do escape, and those leaks paint a picture that's both fascinating and unsettling. One persistent theme is that the sixth-gen fighter may not even be a single aircraft in the traditional sense. Instead, it could be a family of platforms, rapidly built in smaller batches, upgraded continuously, and retired early. This breaks the decades-long model of designing one aircraft to last 40 or 50 years. Instead, NGAD could function more like software, constantly evolving. That would explain why the Air Force talks about designing, building, and fielding aircraft faster than ever before. It also explains why secrecy is essential. If designs change every few years, public exposure would give adversaries a roadmap to counter them. Another leak suggests that manned flight itself may no longer be central. The pilot could become more of a battle manager than a traditional fighter jock, commanding swarms of autonomous drones while staying far from the most dangerous airspace. If true, this would represent a psychological shift as much as a technical one. The iconic image of the lone fighter ace may be nearing its end, and that idea is controversial. Very controversial.
Publicly acknowledging it would spark debates about ethics, autonomy, and the role of humans in warfare. By keeping it classified, the military avoids that conversation entirely. Then there's the question of performance. Sixth-gen fighters are rumored to operate at ranges and speeds that make current aircraft seem limited. Adaptive cycle engines are a key part of this. These engines can change their internal airflow paths, optimizing for either efficiency or thrust depending on the mission. That means longer range without tankers, faster response times, and greater flexibility. Revealing engine capabilities would instantly give adversaries valuable data, so they don't. Even the shape of the aircraft is unknown. No confirmed renders, no official silhouettes, just guesses. Some speculate tailless designs for reduced radar cross-section. Others suggest blended wing bodies or variable geometry surfaces. Each possibility implies different strengths and weaknesses. By revealing nothing, the US keeps everyone guessing, and that guessing spreads beyond foreign militaries. Inside the defense industry, secrecy reshapes competition. Traditionally, companies lobby, tease concepts, and fight for public and political support. NGAD flips that model. Contractors operate in near-total silence, judged solely on results. That reduces political influence and increases technical merit, at least in theory. It also means multiple designs could exist simultaneously, with only the best surviving, the rest disappear without a trace. From the outside, this looks like a black hole. Money goes in, silence comes out. But there's one more reason secrecy is absolute this time, and it may be the most important of all. Information itself has become the battlefield. In a world of cyber warfare, satellite surveillance, and open-source intelligence, revealing even small details can cascade into massive vulnerabilities. A single photo can be analyzed frame by frame. A single statement can be cross-referenced with budget documents, patents, and test site activity. The US military knows this, so instead of trying to manage the narrative, they removed it entirely. No narrative, no images, no explanations, just silence. That silence frustrates enthusiasts, analysts, and even allies, but it also protects something fragile: surprise. History shows that the most decisive military advantages often come as shocks: radar, stealth, precision-guided munitions. Each changed warfare overnight. 6th-gen fighters may represent the next shock, and shocks only work once. Near the end of every great black project, there's a moment when the curtain finally lifts. But when it does, the technology is already mature, integrated, and unstoppable. That's the pattern NGAD seems to be following. So when people ask why everything about 6th-generation fighters is classified, the answer isn't just secrecy for secrecy's sake. It's about protecting innovation, controlling perception, avoiding premature debate, and weaponizing uncertainty itself. And maybe, just maybe, it's also about hiding how far ahead things really are. As we get closer to the end of this story, I want to hear what you think. Do you believe the secrecy hides revolutionary technology, or is it covering delays and uncertainty? Is this the smartest way to build the future of air combat, or a dangerous step away from public accountability? Share your theories, your doubts, and your wildest ideas in the comments, because conversations like that are what keep channels like Forbidden Engineering alive. And if this story made you look at modern military technology a little differently, consider sharing it with someone who loves aviation, engineering, or the strange world of classified projects. The more people who question what's hidden, the more fascinating the answers become. Because somewhere, right now, a 6th-generation fighter may be flying overhead, completely unseen, rewriting the rules of warfare, while the rest of the world argues about whether it even exists at all.